Hi there, I'm Jillian, and today we are at Greenland Gardens Botanical Garden, and I've asked Bob to join me because he is like the plant dictionary, thesaurus, Bible here, and I thought, well, it'd just be so much more fun if he could join in on this tour. So Bob, thank you so much for coming.
Well, thank you for calling, for inviting me.
Well,
so that's awesome.
Okay,
Great, thank you.
well let's get this party started, shall we?
All right, you want me to go first? You go first.
No, you go first.
Okay, I'll go first.
Okay, you go first.
Okay, well, I think what we're going to do is we're going to start out with a plant that you love,
Okay.
and that's the allium over here.
I do love this allium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is a variety called Summer Beauty, and this has been in the garden here for probably about, what, 3-4 years? Something.
I don't know if it's even been, I think it's been like 3.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They,
And as you can see, look at the color on that thing.
yeah.
So, you know, everybody's used to planting the alliums in the fall from the bulbs, you know, the giant ones, the giant flowering alliums, and
Yep.
all the really cool varieties with
That
the
come
massive
up in the
blooms.
spring.
Yep.
Yep.
But this is one that blooms later in the summer, and it's really nice, and it's putting on one heck of a show.
Yep.
This year, especially with the drought we're experiencing here in Alberta. I mean, look at this thing.
Yeah.
No, not that much for extra care, and it's just looking amazing
Yeah.
right now.
And when you and I were visiting the garden yesterday and having a chat, it was covered in bees. So
Yes.
it's excellent for the pollinators. Also, I have quite a few of these clumps in my yard, and I even have some in shaded areas. And they're not as profuse in blossom, but the blossom does last longer, and it does quite well in both sun and shade
Yeah.
for me anyway. Yeah.
Well, that's good to know, because that's like I said, this one is right here out in the open.
Yeah.
He's doing extremely well.
Yeah, and you're going to
Yeah.
get some color a little bit later
Yeah.
on in the season. Okay, I know you love fleece flower. Let's
I love
chat
this
about
thing
that.
over here. Yeah, this is the it's called Persicaria polymorpha. That's that giant fleece flower, and this thing dies down to the ground every single year. So you think that thing is actually a shrub, but it's not. It's a perennial, and if you have a large space, if you have an acreage or something like that, and you need a space to fill, that'll do the trick. I mean, this thing is massive. You're looking, it's about 8 feet across, 8-10 feet across, and what, about 7 feet tall, something like that. And the flowers last at least 2.5-3 months.
Yeah, and this is in that extreme heat again, where a lot of things have sort of just burst and done, and it's just trailing off now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the really cool thing about it, in a normal year, these turn red after a while when the petals fall off. It's got that nice red color to it. So you've got that ornamental value which lasts on this thing well into the fall if you leave it.
Yeah.
So that is really nice. And I also like this little grouping back here.
Yeah.
When the garden was designed, I like the fact here that you've got that pop of silver in the middle and everything around it.
Yeah.
It's just a nice contrast, a nice texture, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, well, and in this big space, you can kind of let things naturalize. And the Western sage, like, it can get away on you,
Yep.
but in this sort of environment or space, that's just fine. And you could trim off, like, it should be deadheaded, and then you just have a blanket of sort of a silver color. That would be
That's right,
gorgeous
yeah.
to admire.
Yep.
Okay, and what is this pine here? Is that a mugo of some sort?
Yeah, this is a type of a mugo. This one is your, looks like big tuna.
Oh, okay.
Yep, which is nice. And then above it is the Ohio buckeye, one of my favorite trees.
It is one of my favorite trees.
They are nice.
I was singing about this one. I can't help but tug on this tree for some reason because they just dance.
I have one in my place, and I have so many people walking by asking, what is that thing that you've got in the corner there? So, but as you can see, I mean, it's got tons of the nuts that it produces, And it's a nice tree, beautiful oval shape.
Yeah, the leaf shape itself is really interesting.
Yeah.
They're ridiculously hardy.
Very.
They're
very.
just, yeah. I've convinced just about every neighbor on the block to get one. So if you come down Cranberry Bend, it
Yeah.
should be called Ohio Buckeye Bend, because
Good.
after seeing ours,
Yeah.
everyone's planted it. And they seem to be disease resilient and
Yeah.
just a hardy.
Yep, a really good choice for if you want something that's really different, something really unique. That'll definitely do the trick for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. One of my favorite things about this garden is also the water feature. I love the sound of it, and just to come and have a lunch here and escape is one of my favorite things to do. The gardener is always keeping his eye on me. He'll peek out from
does.
by a bush or something,
yeah.
because I often will have pruners and make little bouquets for the ladies in the office. And one of the flowers that I do like to cut is these daylilies, because they're just lovely. Look at that.
That's a variety called Rocket City. It's an old-fashioned one, and when you cut them, I mean, they will last for, you can get about a week's, week's worth of enjoyment from them at least as a cut flower.
Yep.
And and this variety has been here for a lot of years. It's old-fashioned variety, like I said. It's really well established. Jillian, you've got just recently, you've got a real fixation for this shrub right over here.
Yes. And it's because when Rob goes away for camping trips, you and I come out here and I'm like, I've got this spot.
Yes.
And we have to sneak something in
We
here.
have to fill it. We have to put something in there.
Yeah, before he gets back.
Yeah.
And I have a shady area that really needed some interest. And cranberries, or is it viburnums?
Yes, the Mohican.
Mohican.
Yeah.
They do really well in shade as well.
They do.
And they produce this lovely orange, sunsetty berry. And it's got that real sort of blue velvety leaf.
Yeah.
And so yesterday, from this chitty chat, we went straight into trees and shrubs and got one.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes. And it's got, like, the reverse of it here is nice.
Yeah.
Like, see, it's a lighter color on the reverse, and the berries last well into the fall. So if the birds love this thing
Oh.
in the fall. Yeah, they go nuts over the berries, and it's a nice compact looking thing.
Yeah.
Needs very little pruning.
Yeah.
Very hardy here.
Yeah.
The more sun you give it, the more berries you get
Okay.
as well. So it's something that again is underused and as in yards, but as you can see, this thing has been here for a lot of years, 20 years plus.
And
we have a few.
I would definitely be using these berries in some fall centerpieces. Like,
Yeah.
it's just beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And
well,
then just over here, this
Yeah.
is kind of a just traditional dwarf Korean lilac. And as you can see, it's been pruned. And you want to prune them after the flower.
Yep.
And then you're guaranteed you're going to get the flowers the following season. And you can shape them. They're very thick. They make a great hedge.
Yeah.
So if
They're hardy as all get out as well.
for sure. Yeah, you will have no dieback on those things whatsoever, no matter what kind of winter we get.
And they get thicker and thicker and thicker.
They
So
do.
I've got I've got a couple in my yard, but I have a beautiful one on standard, and
Very
we're
nice.
turning it into a true globe shape.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's gorgeous. Yes.
Yep, and then you can do that with a lot of these shrubs. You can train them, and you've got to develop a standard, and that's just simply trimming them from the bottom up. And you can do that with a lot of things.
Yeah. Well, if Rob gets back from camping, perhaps he'll come back to like a rabbit or a giraffe or something, and the Korean lilac, his perfect bowl, will be turned into who knows what. Anyways, shall we continue?
Yes, we shall.
Okay, let's do this. So we wandered around the corner past the veggie garden, and now we are here at this really cool plant. I think this is just a recent addition that has just gone gangbusters. What is this thing?
This is giant Butterbur. This thing is if you have a spot in the yard and you're wondering what am I going to put in there, and it's kind of a damp area, this thing will definitely work. This is Pedicites is the Latin on this thing, and this would be, I guess, the prairie version of the giant gunnera that they can grow on the west coast, where the leaves are 6 to 8 feet.
I know. My girlfriend has one. I can stand
massive.
underneath it. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful
Cool.
thing.
Yeah.
When I was in Scotland, and there's a picture of me standing in one that the leaf is probably, on the gunnera, we're looking at 12, 15 feet across.
Yeah.
But this is our prairie version of it that got to be kind of proud of it, I guess, because we've got such dry conditions here. But as you can see, it's done extremely well, and it really spreads. So if you have a spot and you want something that'll fill that area, is tidy, no insect pests bother it, nothing bugs this thing, and just let it go to town. This thing is really, really unique.
Okay. Bob, do you want to tell me about this linden tree? Maybe discuss the shape.
Yeah, this would be an American linden. It's a really nice tree. It's actually, more people are starting to plant them, which is really great, because this thing, when it is in flower, and it's just finishing right now, this thing was just an absolute haven for butterflies, moths, bees. Honeybees love this thing. And this year, with the dry conditions that we've had, it's really taken off. It's just in a full mass of color earlier on. And the flowers smell almost like honey.
Yeah, they've got a really sweet.
Very sweet, very sweet scented. Really a nice tree.
Yeah.
We talked about the Ohio buckeye earlier, and it's one of my favorites, and this would be right up there as well. Same with the lindens.
Yeah, they're super
They're
hardy as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of different varieties of lindens too. So they all do really well here in Alberta. And
It'd be nice to sit underneath that and just listen to all the bees, hey?
yeah, just escape.
Yeah.
Just, plop a chair under there and just enjoy. Fall asleep, whatever, on a day like this. Just get the fresh air going. And then underneath we've got a hydrangea.
Yeah. Hydrangeas are a must-have in the garden.
Oh, for sure. One thing with hydrangeas, you love water, so you got to make sure, don't let them dry out, because they will, don't worry, they'll let you know.
Yeah. Well, and if you've got really good soil, so just make sure you've got lots of compost and anything that retains that moisture, because I've got hydrangeas. My hydrangeas do best in full sun in my yard, but I do soak them generously.
And that's really, you have to do that.
Yeah.
And Jillian, look at this. This really impresses me. This is called Kismet Raspberry Echinacea, or coneflower. Like, this thing has been in here, this is its 3rd year, no dieback, and the flower, absolutely amazing. And they just keep on producing more and more blooms. Much better improvement than the old-fashioned Magnus varieties.
Yes.
Although that's still one of the best.
Well, and I have Magnus because I'm like, I just need something to come back all of the time, guaranteed. So I have the Magnus,
Yes.
but this is done really, really well. There's
Yeah.
not any protection here, and it's just flourishing. So I think I need to add this to my cut flower garden, because
I think so.
whoa.
Yeah, look at this thing.
Yeah. One of my favorite things about echinacea too is, even after the petals fall off, the cone is
You're
just like, it's just gorgeous.
And again, the butterflies love this thing.
Yep.
And honeybees, bumblebees just go nuts on these things.
They do have a sweet smell to them as well.
They do. Yeah. And then, of course, again, no garden is complete without, if you have a sunny area, stone crops or sedums are really good.
Yeah.
And of course, another plant, hostas. You got to have hostas in the garden. So we have several in the Botanic Garden here as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to head up over here. And Jillian, you were telling me how much you love this thing.
I do. I love indigo. So I planted one about 3 years ago. I would say it's about half the size of this. When we spotted it coming in, I was like, holy mac, it looks like a shrub.
Yeah.
Like one plant.
And that's the Baptisia false indigo. Yeah.
Yep.
And when it when it's in bloom, it has a blue flower that looks almost like a lupin.
Yeah.
And the flowers are really a nice intense color. They last for about a couple of weeks.
Yep.
And I don't know if this one's got it or not, but they also, they produce Yeah, this one doesn't have any this year, but it produces a seed pod that turns black, and you can actually, I know last year when this thing had the seed pods on it, and I noticed a couple of kids walking around, they were shaking this thing like it's some sort of a rattle.
Like a little rattle.
You know, because the seeds rattle in this thing. It's kind of like used almost like a musical instrument type thing. And that's what they were doing with it, which is kind of cool, something a little different.
Fun. And then the 9-bark, because you always want to add sort of a different color, a contrast to your environment. I like that this one's up on standard.
Yeah, and you can do that. You can train them very easily, or you can buy them like that.
Yeah.
And again, you know, this is the Diabolo, they call it. Yeah. And it's been here for a lot of years, and it's just trimmed yearly, just to keep that shape, and just kind of a light maintenance pruning at this time of year, just to keep it from getting too gangly. And yeah, it's been here for a lot of years, as you can tell just by the trunk, right?
Yeah. Well, and in smaller spaces, it's nice to put things up on a standard so that you've got more planting area below, right?
Yeah, I call it more real estate underneath. Like we got the hostas here too, a couple of Summit Substance here.
Yep.
And you know, you could do that in your yard very easy, especially if you like plants and you're very confined, right?
Yep.
You know, with your spacing, so you could do this sort of stuff, and it looks awesome. Looks great. Then you can do. It's always better to do a standard and you have a mass planting of something underneath of the same thing, or a lot of different textures, but make sure that it doesn't, impede in here. Like it should always stay below. And if worse comes to worse, if you've got really rich soil and that stuff starts to take off on you, all you do is just chop these branches further up. Yeah. You could do that too, just to keep that spacing.
Yeah. I love this sort of purple tone with this blue. Again, I have such an affinity for any sort of silvery blue color, and on the spruce, it's
that's
just
so
my
nice.
favorite.
Yeah. Like look at this color, this combination. You've got this kind of chartreusey color here. You got the purple. You got the blue. Yeah. Amazing. Looks really good.
Beautiful.
So Jillian, that kind of wraps things up, eh?
Yeah, we've been here for like over an hour, look.
Wow. Holy, wow. That's that's a long time.
Yeah, there is so much to see here. There's so many nooks and crannies and beautiful things filled with amazing plants and specimens.
Yeah, and this is a really good area to just come and see what the plants look like at full maturity. Yeah. So when you are planting a yard, you know, you can see what they actually will look like. Yeah,
and this is open to the public.
Yeah.
7 days a week. Come and visit and enjoy. And if you have any questions, you or I are around, and multiple experts.
Yeah.
And we're always happy to help.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
I'm always happy to tour.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And then grab a coffee at Branches and then come out here, sit. We've got a lot of seating areas out here as well. Yeah. And it's just a nice, peaceful, very serene area. Yes. And taking a little shot of nature, just a little outside the city.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Well, hey, I'm glad that you put up with me for this tour.
You're